All right, Kellen. Well, thank you for joining me, man. I guess really just kind of want to start with like, where did you originally start at, and what kind of issues were you dealing with when you first came into the program?
So I originally started with TOS issues for 4 years. Got the surgery and a couple more. Pretty unfortunate circumstances with that. So I found you after I got the surgery. So I got two surgeries on May 7th, 2024. The third one on May 9th, 2024. And I started doing PT, I think in June or July. And I actually found you. I was home for fall break, a normal PT checkup. I got 2 hour drive each way, so I was sitting in the parking lot, um, and I was just scrolling through Instagram Reels, and I saw you came up on like my recommended feed, and I was basically just lost because like I wasn't really loosening up top where I got the surgery or my thoracic region or pretty much anywhere. So I was like, might as well try it. I reached out, sent you a DM, and from there on, I think I started working with you officially. It was either October or November.
Yeah,
I
I think
think our
October
first full month.
24 is what I've got on my system.
Yeah, I think our first full month was October. And then yeah, almost a year later now.
So you had like some pretty wild things happen with those surgeries. So just for those that don't necessarily know your situation, what went on with that TOS surgery and then the complications that came from it?
So I got the TOS surgery. I went through five doctors before. Um, Basically 4 years in the making. So I qualified for the ulnar nerve transposition surgery as well. Opted to get the TOS surgery. That's where most of the causes were from, and we figured if we could loosen up the thoracic region up here, ulnar nerve area would kind of release itself, and as long as going along with PT, I'd be able to loosen it up. But so basically, what happened? I went in for the initial surgery. Everything went well according to plan. They said all good. I did have a lot of excess scar tissue, and I was dealing with TOS for so long. My body actually ended up growing extra muscles around the thoracic region up here that protect itself. So they removed that, all the scar tissue. And then I was actually in recovery. I believe it's 2 hours after. A lot of, not a little, it's a lot hazy for me. My mom and the nurse were in the room. Everything was normal, and my heart rate spiked like 200, I believe. Blood pressure tanked. I don't know the exact numbers. Turned all yellow. They couldn't figure it out. Did a bunch of testing, and then finally they saw my left lung completely collapse through an X-ray, and I had about 3 meters of blood in there. So basically about half the blood in your body. So flatline, to my knowledge. Um, don't know for sure, but it's what my mom told me, the nurse, all that. I went back into the emergency surgery that day, rushed me into it. They saved my life in there. I woke up a couple days later in the ICU. First thing I remember is them telling give me a green button. They go, every time this thing turns green, just spam it. Um, Feeding me morphine, drugs, all that. It was awful. Then a couple days later, they'd come in every morning at like 4 a.m., do x-rays on my chest to make sure everything was okay. And I believe it's 3 days after, 2 or 3 days after the initial surgery, so the ninth, basically the day after I woke up, they saw my left lung was clotting, and they opted to remove the clot to make it easier to breathe because I was still having trouble breathing even on oxygen. So they removed that, and then I ended up being in the hospital for a week or so after, and then got released home.
Dude, that is one of the most absurd stories that I've ever
Yeah,
heard. So like obviously you were in one of the worst positions of somebody that we've been able to help. So like when you got out of that originally, like were you thinking like your baseball's career is over, or where were you at mentally, just given like you thought you were going in for one operation and it ended up being three?
yeah. So I mean, I really didn't think about baseball for it was life or death at that point. I mean, I was just fighting to live I mean, I couldn't live normally again. Like I couldn't shower myself. I couldn't brush my teeth. I couldn't do anything. Like my body, I went down 40 pounds, couldn't eat food. Every time I tried to eat for a couple weeks out of the hospital, I'd throw it up. because of all the drugs. I was on everything in the book, fentanyl, morphine. I couldn't sleep, so they had me on like some sleeping. It was something with a T. It was like the strongest thing. Still couldn't sleep on that. So just everything was going against each other, and my body was in fight or flight the whole time. Um, so baseball really did take a back seat. Um, so I mean, I had to relearn how to walk again. I remember my mom, my girlfriend at the time, she was visiting. They'd come and like bring me down to the beach, and I'd like hold on to their shoulders. They'd bring me like go from like 20 yards rest to like 30 yards the next day, and just work back up. So I basically started from scratch. Um, and then we were actually in the A10 tournament at the time. So I think it was a week after I got out of the hospital. I like needed something to do. I couldn't sit around like I was losing it. I asked my dad to bring me down to the A10 tournament, which was in Tyson's Corner, Virginia. So we drove, took about 12 hours, went down to the tournament, supported the team. We ended up making a run to the A10 championship, which was very cool. Basically, Cinderella run came up a little short. Um, yeah, but that was very cool being able to do all that with the team. And then that at that point, I was like, if we make it back to this point next year, I want to be out here for it. And that's where I was like, I still got to give it a shot.
So when you got to that point in October, when you had first reached out and we started to work together, what was that first initial process like of when you started to do posture for the first time?
So I realized really, so the surgery did fix the issue up here, but it didn't fix all the other stuff I had going on. I'm sure you could pull up the initial pictures and stuff we have on this, but I mean, my body was all out of whack from the surgery and then just from in general. Um, so I could feel it. I mean, I felt the effects pretty quick because of how misaligned I was. I mean, I think it was my left is like my left ankle, and that's basically where the root of the issues were because I previously had an injury on it senior year of high school, which I never addressed, and which caused everything straight up, which is honestly I think was a big factor in me getting TOS. Um, so basically, the effects from bottom up, I felt pretty immediately. I'd say within the first month.
That's awesome. So as far as like getting your exercises or like analyzing your body, what did that process look like for you? And what did that first assessment kind of open your eyes to as far as like, oh, some of these other things may have led to the TOS that I was experiencing?
Yeah, so for me, I'm very tight in like my thoracic region rotating. Like I'm a very good rotator, but I'm very tight while doing it. And that kind of just stems from bottom up. So we addressed foot circles, all that stuff. And though, for me, the feet, like the ankle to hips, are the most effective. Just rotational stuff, and that's been a staple in our program since the first month. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think what's interesting there is the exercises that you found most effective were actually for the lower body as opposed to
Yeah.
targeting the area of the injury. So when you were going through PT, what was kind of the typical approach that you were seeing with your PT exercises?
So my PT, at that point in time, we were doing a lot of breathing, just trying to open this up. Also for the my side where I had all the tubes and stuff. So that's basically was where we started. And then I will say my PT, they have been awesome with helping. Still do remote calls and stuff with them. Um, but I will say the difference that posture therapy has made is that it's the full analytical assessment of your body, and it's more than the area that you're getting like going in for to address it movement wise. Just with the PT wise, with the how far it is and the amount of time I can be there, it's like you're going to address the main issue, which was up here, and then the breathing to try to get me back to a functional state so I can do everything on my own.
So as far as like how your body and your game have changed, how have you noticed since returning to play after all of that you've been through? How have you noticed how your body has changed as you're actually pitching now?
So, I mean, I'm basically submarine now, sidearm submarine. I've had to change, basically reinvent myself on how to throw a baseball on the fly. I'm missing parts of my neck and ribs and all that. So, I basically reinvent myself. do what is comfortable for me at this point, even though it may not be the high velocity output or all the other stuff they're looking for now in Division I baseball. It's what works for me. And I've become pretty effective at it, even though it's been hasn't been that long. And it's definitely helped me maintain my health and be able to throw more, which at this point is all I'm asking for is get back on the field again for second year after being TOS, which isn't a very common occurrence from my understanding, let alone getting back out there for a year again after.
So what are your goals for this upcoming season now that you have kind of have this reinvigorated sense of health? Like, what are you hoping to be able to do this year?
So my goal is basically, as for me personally, my goal is to go out there and contribute and make it through a full season healthy. Unfortunately, didn't get to do that last year. Had a little bit of setback because of how quick I came back and I was throwing a decent amount. Um, and go back out there and try to get back to what I know I can be as a pitcher, even though it may not be what I envisioned my college career being like, going out there being a starter on like Fridays and lighting it up. But going out there, coming in, I'll be a reliever, coming in, lefty lefty guys, relief guys, getting out of those tough situations and just being able to help the team win.
How do you think that your mindset has changed through all of this? Because like if we came in with the goal of wanting to be the Friday night guy, like a lot of people do, how have you done with kind of having to accept like, hey, my role might not be as big as what I hoped it might, but I'm still able to go out there and do it?
Yeah, so I mean, I am a firm believer, and everything happens for a reason. And I do think, even though this whole process has been very unfortunate, I do think it has made me a better person in the long run. Start looking at other things outside of baseball and not taking like the small things for granted. I mean, I was at the point where I couldn't even open a door with my left arm, pick up a fork, do all that. So it's like just get back, like all those things alone were they were big wins, even though at the time I never would have thought of it. Would like, oh, whatever. But getting back out there, um, it really I can't really put in the words what it means. Like when I was out there for the first time last year, I was like, holy crap! Like that's kind of at the moment where it's like you beat it, but it's still a long road. It's an everyday thing with it. So
Mhm.
I mean that's why with posture, it's like it's an everyday thing. You got to stay consistent with it, and if you don't do it for a couple days or something, like you'll go out of whack again. So
Yeah, and I think that that's a really important point is like you've been really diligent in everything that you've done and stayed consistent with it. And kind of that midpoint of the season that you were talking about where some things kind of went downhill was when we weren't as consistent with it. And then we got back on
mhm.
it, things started to go on the right track. And then we were able to make a really good summer appearance or out of wherever you were at for the summer ball, right?
Mhm.
So as far as like the time and the money that you've invested into this, do you feel like that has been worth it for what you have received in return for it?
Oh, 100%. I mean, the time it's really not bad. I mean, if you're doing it once a day, it's I'd say a block's 30-ish minutes, 30-ish minutes to an hour, depending on how in depth you're going with it and how long your blocks are and movement wise with sets and all that. And money wise, it's a steal. I mean, compared to other programs, I mean, there's lifting programs out there now you're paying thousands of dollars a month for, and that's pretty cookie cutter stuff. Everyone's getting the same thing. This is individually like specified for you. I mean, you show it on the Zoom calls, the analysis, the dots, the lines where you're out of line, you explain it. It really has been great for me and worth money for sure.
Well, I'm definitely glad to hear that.
I'm not even just saying that. That's the truth.
Well, I appreciate you saying that, Kellen. Is there anything that you would say to somebody who's on the fence about what incorporating posture into their routine, whether it's on their own or if they're thinking about getting something more individualized? What would you say to that person?
I'd say 100% consider it. I wish I knew about this earlier. I do think I think the surgery for me was inevitable at the point I was at. I do think for a lot of people it can help. You can help avoid it. Um, yeah, I mean, if you're willing to put in the time, like you do have to be consistent with it, but you will see the benefits if you do it day in and day out. I will say though that some people will, I think, will only go straight to like the posture and like the mobility stuff and kind of go away from lifting a little bit. I don't think it's a replacement for that. Like there's obviously a place for lifting. You need the lift to gain strength. But if you're dealing with certain stuff like I have with limitations lifting wise, it is a good replacement for certain things that you physically aren't able to do in the weight room.
Yeah, absolutely. I wouldn't, I love that you say like this isn't a replacement because it's not. Like if you're still going to PT or going to chiropractic or massage or any of these other things that you still like to do and you find benefit out of, we would never tell you to stop doing those things.
Yeah.
Now, if they
Yeah.
are beneficial for you, might be time to kind of take a different angle at what you're doing for your plan of attack. But like lifting, like those are not things that we cut out. They are a necessity for the development that you need.
Mhm. Yeah, so it's like, I mean, really, I came across posture therapy as one of my last things. Like, I've done chiropractors, PT. I mean, I've been around PT for 4 years, unfortunately, just the way it's been. Um, Obviously, the surgeries, all that stuff, and they really haven't had a long term, like, lasting impact that's helped keep me on the field. And ever since I started doing posture, minus the blow up last year, partially on me, partially coming back into the season and travel and all that. But learn the hard way sometimes. So
Well, I mean, dude, I'm excited for the season that you're going to have this upcoming year. Like I
yeah,
think I think you're bound for a health, but also like just getting the enjoyment out of being able to be the Division I player that you knew you were going to be when you walked into on campus for the first time.
100%. I'm due. Um, it's been a long time coming. I mean, we talked last year. I was basically consider hanging them up. Last spring, I was lost. And then come in summer, basically refine myself. Um, enjoy playing the game again. Honestly, for the first time in a couple of years, pain just it helps being pain free, but it helps going out there and performing and having fun playing with my old friends again, which is something I really did need. Um, yeah, and hopefully putting together a pretty solid fall and then solid spring this year.
Absolutely. Well, man, I'm here for you as always, and I really appreciate you taking the time to talk to me and sharing your story.
Thank you. I appreciate it, Connor.